with, and apparently we're being recorded. There we go. Okay, so let's begin our meeting. Today is welcome to the June 10th meeting of the midday meeting of the Rotary Club of Rochester. I'm Chris Colby, 2021 president for the remainder of June. I'm looking forward to transitioning to President-elect Audrey and President-elect nominee Allie Good over the next month or so. I will begin, as we begin today, I will start things off with the four-way test. I will say each line of the four-way test with everyone repeating after me. So of all the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth?
First, is it the truth?
Second, is it fair to all concerned?
Second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships?
third,
will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
I'm impressed that we're actually getting better at that. So thank you for doing that. Melanie has an inspirational talk today. Melanie?
I do. This is from a book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, which has been around a while, so maybe some of you are familiar. It's from Dr. Richard Carlson. And the one I chose for today is called Develop Your Compassion. Nothing helps us build our perspective more than developing compassion for others. Compassion is a sympathetic feeling. It involves the willingness to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to take the focus off yourself and to imagine what it's like to be in someone else's predicament, and simultaneously to feel love for that person. It's the recognition that other people's problems, their pain and frustrations are every bit as real as our own, often far worse. In recognizing this fact and trying to offer some assistance, we open our own hearts and greatly enhance our sense of gratitude. Compassion is something you can develop with practice. It involves two things: intention and action. Intention simply means you remember to open your heart to others. You expand what and who matters from yourself to other people. Action is simply the what you do about it. You might donate money or time on a regular basis to a cause near to your heart. Or perhaps you offer a smile and genuine hello to the people you meet on the street. It's not so important what you do, just that you do something. As Mother Teresa reminds us, we cannot do great things on this earth. We can only do small things with great love.
Thank you, Melanie. That fits nicely into the four-way test, as a matter of fact.
Yes, it does. Mm-hmm.
Do we have any visitors on board here today? I see we have 31 people. Do we have any visitors from either the other Rotary clubs or from non-Rotary guests of any kind?
This is Bob Mueller. I have a couple of guests on, two of our employees, Doug Coop and Sean Wise. They were really interested to hear Lauren's presentation today, so they wanted to join the meeting and have that opportunity.
Okay, great. Well, welcome the both of those guests. Any other guests that people have? Sorry about that. I seem to have gotten a frog in my throat here. Past President Colin Aldis has a couple of Paul Harris Fellowship fellow presentations to make. I see he's off. Oh, there he is again. You're back. Are you going to be able to do this, Colin?
I can do it. Yes, I can do it. So we have some previous guests for Paul Harris Fellows, Melody Trimble and Dave Mortel, and I don't believe I've seen them at least show up on this call today, but I have the honor of presenting probably at least as we transition into new leadership roles, because this will be Chris's occupation, in July. But as we've discussed before, these Paul Harris Fellow Awards, and I'll read out the little brief blurb that recognize and acknowledges individuals who contribute or who have made contributions in their name of $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation. Rotary established this recognition in 1957 to encourage and show appreciation for substantial contributions. It is named for our Rotary founder, Paul Harris, who started Rotary International in 1905. Multiple Paul Harris recognition is given in subsequent $1,000 levels, so-called Paul Harris Plus. And today, Melody Trimble is a PIN +2, and Dave Mortal is a PIN +6. So these people who have given consistently. From an initial funding level of $26, today the foundation has over $1 billion with a B in assets. It is one of the largest and most prestigious international fellowship programs in the world. And you should know, when you make tax deduction donations to the foundation, you support many of the things, obviously, that Rotary stands for, such as disease prevention, provide clean water, supports education, grows local economies, helps mothers and their children, and promotes peace. So we are very thrilled to be able to recognize Melody and Dave, and I think both Chris and Audrey, as the incoming president, would hope that we can get back to physically presenting these pins as we move into a hybrid meeting. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations to both Melanie and Dave. By the way, I did receive these pins in the mail, and I am mailing those to each of these parties as well. So they should receive them in the next couple of days. It's just not the same as being able to present them in person, but that I guess that's where we are right now, at least until we're able to get back together. So speaking of that, I briefly mentioned it while we were talking early before we started, that we're intending to go back to the hybrid meetings in person and Zoom for our Rotary midday meetings beginning on June 24th, our next midday meeting. These meetings will continue on the second and fourth Thursdays of the month, and you can watch for more announcements on how to actually do that in the moccasin flower. We may, because we have a limited number of people that can attend at the country club, and we will need to figure out how to do a certain amount of signups there. And it may be a case, I might have this wrong, but we may be able to guarantee a certain number of lunches. But if you want to show up out there, and we may not be able to guarantee that you'll have a lunch, but the meeting room is big enough to be able to handle a larger number than say the 25 that we had previously. So like I say, we'll try to get this sorted out and announced in our moccasin flower next week. In addition to that, the informal Rotary After Hours on the first Thursday of the month, we intend to resume on August 5th under an updated format. So watch for an announcement that will be more of an in-person Rotary After Hours type event in the moccasin flower. And finally, the third Thursday's small group meetings will continue to be held as your group has determined. I know the group that I'm with has decided to meet on Tuesday the 22nd at Rochester Fest, and so we're meeting as I think there are 8 or 9 of us in that group, and looking forward to getting together and knowing those people a little bit better. It's a chance to kind of get a little closer to the people that are identified in your group. So if you can participate in that, it'll be fun event. As you may remember, our club's community foundation president, Mark Benscotter, and board member Josh Noser announced a first ever community impact grant of up to $5,000 to be awarded to a local organization. The applications for this grant are due today, June 10th. and the committee will be reviewing. I understand that they received 5 applications for this grant, and so that committee will be reviewing these applications and making an announcement, I assume, in the next week or so, perhaps at the June 24th midday meeting. So that's kind of exciting news. And Audrey, we also have some additional exciting news regarding our prospective vacant administrator position. Audrey, you want to take it from there?
Sure. I am happy to announce that Amber Beneke has accepted the position of club administrator, and she will be starting on Monday. So we're thrilled to have her on board, and you'll get to meet her in person on the 24th. Thank you. And I want to give a huge shout out to the search committee. They did a lot of work. And so Melanie and Mark and Allie, Lori, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed. I know I'm missing somebody. And Chris, yes. So thanks everybody.
Yeah, it was a good effort, and it's been kind of an interesting process, and we'll see how this all goes. But I think the committee is all excited about obviously getting a chance to hand off some of the administrative functions to someone that can organize us a little better. Are there any other announcements that anyone would like to make? Melanie or Audrey, Allie, anybody that you want to make before we get into our presentations today? Okay, hearing none. We have actually two presentations to make today. And we kind of split it into 2 groups. And as I mentioned, Julie Brock got detained or had to go up to the city, so she opted to go second. And as you know, and have been hearing about in many cases participating in, Julie and our visioning committee has been working to redefine our club's mission and vision. And Julie will give a report and update when we on where we go and how we might change some of our directions as a group of Rotarians going forward. So before we get to that, however, exciting news, Rotarian Lauren Anderson will give us an update on a major World Community Service grant that our club is sponsoring. Lauren, you can unmute yourself, and then it's kind of all yours. You are co-hosted, so have at it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Lauren Anderson. I'm a newer Rotarian to our club. I've now been a Rotarian of this club for almost a year, about a year. I think about a year. Time certainly flies. So it's been fun to see many of your faces on Thursday Zooms. And also some of you may have had the opportunity to be on when I did a vocational talk a few months ago. It's a little odd to be presenting to my home club, to be honest. I've presented this presentation that I'll move on to show you all in a few moments, but I've presented to about 30 Rotary clubs in 4 different districts. There are 35 Rotary clubs now in 4 different districts, this presentation, and I have yet to bring it to my own club. So I have to tell you guys, I'm a little more nervous for this presentation than the other 35. So it feels a little different to be on home turf, but I'm really excited to share more with you guys about what we've done over the last year and what our club is sponsoring. So without further ado, I will share my screen. And
so Lauren, while you're getting that set up, I might mention that the intent here is that this would be about a 20-minute presentation. And if you have questions, perhaps we can hold those until the end or put them in the chat and we'll try to review them at the end of the presentation.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for reminding me of the time. So the project that we've been working towards over the last year now is called Healthcare and Teleeducation. And specifically what we're doing is working on a global grant. And the global grant is going to build sustainable medical literacy training in Uganda. And having worked with Rotary now for about a year, we have already accomplished a few things that I'll mention later. But I'll start with a little bit of background and how this got started, and then I'll move into a bit more about the current players in the project, current successes, and then on to what we're hoping to accomplish. I'll finish up with some budgetary items, a request maybe from our club for additional support, and some aspirational objectives about what this project might do for the world. So starting about 3 years ago, we, myself and fellow Rotarian and classmate of mine, Michaela Schmidt, actually traveled to Uganda between 2 separate semesters. And we were introduced to a nonprofit there called Kagezi Healthcare Foundation. And we learned a ton. Michaela and I actually traveled there separately, and on being inspired by a different culture, a different people, and some major problems in accessing healthcare, we were excited about potentially connecting Ugandans with Minnesotans, especially knowing that we were right here in Rochester next to Mayo Clinic. Also, both of us having graduated from the University of Minnesota, we got excited about what we might be able to do together. So bringing in fellow Rotarian Ashok Patel and many others, about 3 years ago, we started planning to work toward where we are today in sustainable partnership. And that means you start kind of in this evolution of stakeholder engagement at the very beginning between two-way informing and responding. It's often what you'll see where what I'm doing right now, I'm giving you a formal presentation, and then you might ask questions, moving into really interaction and dialogue, and now preparing for partnership and full-scale collaboration. So we've been working with these partners in Uganda for a while. We spent time there, and we got to know the culture and the people as well. So who are we today? So we've coined ourselves as CAHEFO Minnesota, and our mission is to serve as a leading global resource in collaborative, blended, and transdisciplinary teleeducation aimed to serve the Sustainable Development Goals. So it's a big, big goal. We hope to continue to work collaboratively with groups like Rotary and other partners as we continue to formalize what it is we are hoping to accomplish while aimed at this goal. And as I said before, Kagezi Healthcare Foundation out of Uganda is our partner in Uganda that we're working with to accomplish some of these big things. A few things about Kagezi Healthcare Foundation. They are one of the only NGOs that provide care on a sliding scale, meaning that most of the patients that they provide healthcare for in their 8 different clinics are either low-paying or non-paying patients. This is different from the medical system there. So here in the US, in many states or some states like Minnesota, if we get sick and go to the ER, we are guaranteed care. In Uganda, this is not the case. It's also not the case in some other states in the United States. But if you show up and you needed care, you have to be able to pay for in Uganda not only the clinician's time, but you also have to be able to pay for any materials that might go with your procedure, including the nuts and bolts that might put your leg back together and the casting materials. So as you can imagine, it's a huge barrier to receiving care, and has also cost life in Uganda. So that was one thing that was really exciting about partnering with Kagezi Healthcare Foundation. In addition to that, they're an in-house nonprofit, which means that they were founded by Ugandans for Ugandans. Something that you'll hear about sometimes in international service is that it could be started by people in the US and then ran by people in the US. That's another reason that we are exceptionally excited about this project, because we're partnering with people who are on the ground, who know the culture, who know the system, and who are invested long-term. So over the last 3 years, we've had some exciting highlights and developments. We're still working on formalizing many of these partnerships. And potentially once this grant is completely approved, you'll see more formal partnerships. But we were recognized and partnered, we are recognized and partnered with the Ugandan Healthcare Federation for tracking COVID cases. This was actually accomplished through a district grant that we completed this past year through our club as the host club, which is a huge, huge development already that we've moved forward. We were listed as an EUN project partner and highlighted in one of their newsletters, thanks to our connection with Rotarian and mentor, Dr. Patel. Rotary, of course, is supporting hopefully this global grant. When it is, I get to say when because I'm young and naive, but when it is approved. And then we've also then supported the district grant as well. We have Mayo Clinic clinicians who are mentoring Dr. Patel in addition to some other mentors. And then we also brought Dr. G here about 2 years ago now on a Mayo Clinic Abroad Small Grants Program grant. And then finally, the University of Minnesota. Again, this is a partnership we'd like to formalize more, but there are several instructors who are going to work to provide college credit experience through this program, where you could have either paired learning in our global grant or potential for like grant writing exposure, or we will continue to develop that as we go on. So we have done some amazing things, and we're going to hopefully continue to do that in our project today. So what is it that we're doing now? So you've heard a bit about who we are, how we got started, and what we've accomplished. Well, now we are going to build a teleeducation program that is going to educate about 1,000 healthcare workers in Uganda. And we started with about an idea of about having 900 people. But as we have engaged with the people in Uganda, we know now that we're actually going to have a waiting list and work out to decide who is going to be able to be involved and who is not. There's a ton of interest, so that number has been upped to 1,000. That's about 50% capacity with COVID, but maximum capacity for the time that the program will be open, and then with considering COVID as well. So we'll have about 6 cohorts of 150 healthcare workers in each cohort, and they will be able to log into this program over a 12-month period and receive mentorship and training that will both involve their own healthcare skills, such as like patient to provider interaction, as well as some more tangible skills. We call them hard skills, like working on ultrasound technology and imaging, learning how to integrate their cell phones with ultrasound technology that exists, and also like learning research support as well. So there's a few different areas that clinicians will be able to log in and receive education. A few things I want to note about the program specifically. This is also education by Ugandans for Ugandans. So we are partnered with many experts in various fields who are excited to begin designing the curriculum. Now, again, this won't be designed and built until the global grant is approved. So a lot of people will ask me, well, like, what is it? What is your curriculum? What do you think? What is it going to look like? And I don't know. I can't tell you, beyond the fact that we have done a lot of community outreach and surveys in our initial planning for the grant, to know that we want to provide access for like research and healthcare skills. But a lot of this has yet to be built out. So that's also very exciting. So why teleeducation? Why did we choose this? Well, there's a couple of reasons that we chose this model. Number one, it is easily scalable and has low cost. So when you're looking for impact that will be sustainable, which is what Rotary International is really after, you don't want something with a large overhead, right? And the cost of the program, outside of some additional infrastructure building in Uganda, and then the building of the program itself, will maintain a low cost over years. And that means that we should be able to provide a lot of education for a really, really low fee. The other thing is its international reach. So we should be able to build this program, ensure its efficacy, and then give it away, right? The goal is to have elevated communities across the world, not just in Uganda. It makes sense to start there, right? Because we have partners there and we've built a lot of sustainable scaffolding. We have all the right players in place. But once we start there and prove efficacy, we can give it away and see if other communities around the world also want to be involved. So the projected impact for the program is huge. We estimate, like I said, around 1,000 healthcare workers to be able to be involved. There are at least 10,000 plus students from health training institutions alone in the region that we're targeting. So we're talking about 10,000 students, which means there are an even greater number of practicing clinicians that could be targeted for the education in this program. And once the program is built, of course, it is going to be self-sustainable. So we're already looking at and planning with our Ugandan team how we can make sure that this could bring in enough income to just cover the bases, that we could continue having the program available for free, but that it's at least paying for itself, which is also extremely exciting. And then education paired with community-based curriculum, of course, led by local experts, we hope will both invigorate the people in the region in education and also elevate what they're already doing that's working well. So the fundraising needs and breakdown, as I said, I've spoken to, I think, a little over 30 or 35, I'm losing track, Rotary clubs across 4 different districts now, and mostly in our district. And we have received immense support from all over. You can see we've raised $86,000 out of $91,000. So that is extremely exciting. We've had 20 different clubs who have made contributions or at least promised contributions from our own district. We also have a $12,000 district DDF given from District 5580, and then 1 contribution from a 5950 club from Rotary Club 9 in Minneapolis. And most recently, we met with the district team of District 6000, and they're also interested in giving funds, but they have not yet committed officially. So there are a few things in the works to get us up that last 5,000, but some additional support would be immensely helpful from our own club. And also, I should say, because this project has taken longer than we anticipated due to COVID. Oh, it looks like I got muted for a second. Hopefully that's good now.
I did that, sorry.
That's okay, no worries. Also because this project has taken longer than we anticipated, there are some clubs who are worried that when they switch over to this coming fiscal year, they may lose their ability to contribute. And so we're working with those clubs to ensure that they can get checks sent ahead of time if possible. But that means that some additional padding would also be helpful. As you can imagine, with 20 different club contributions, some are down to like the $150 range and all the way up to the $3,000 range. So lots to manage there, but we're so close. And with plans to submit as soon as submission is open, I believe on July 19th now, we should be ready to go for final approval. So I'll end with a quote from Dr. G, who is the executive director and founder of Kagezi Healthcare Foundation. He's also a past Rotary president in Kabale, which is where our partner Rotary Club is situated. And he says, ladies and gentlemen, it's now up to you to join me to fight disease, ignorance, and poverty in Africa using community-based solutions and education. Community involvement has a lasting impact, one that cannot be easily forgotten. I like ending with that quote because Dr. G is such a visionary and he inspires me to keep showing up every day to work towards something like this. So with that, generally the next steps for other clubs are just to get into contact with me. However, since I'm a member of this club, I will be around and you can always reach out to me via email or phone. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions at all in the chat. We, as I said, have a little bit of fundraising left to do. We're planning on submitting on July 19th, hopefully. There are a ton of Rotarians from our club that have been immensely involved in this project and are members of this team. I'll just give a shout out. I had to write names down because so many people have been helpful and are a part of the team, but I just want to say thanks to Ashok Patel, Judy and Mike O'Fallon, Michaela Schmidt, Janice Domke, Allison Good, Carolyn Bailey, Bob Mueller, and the Salvation Army crew. And I'm sure I missed people, but the World Community Service Committee as well. There have been, yeah, just a ton of support, and our team members have been working really hard in getting this through.
All right, thank you, Lauren. Good, very good presentation. Very obviously you've practiced it many times, so you're very good at it. And congratulations on that. I have one question. I don't see too many questions on this in the chat, but I did have a question. You mentioned early on in your presentation that in order for patients to get any kind of medical assistance, they have to pay for this work before they get any help. Does this program deal with that, or is this just a matter of educating the caregivers necessarily and not necessarily the patients, and addressing that issue?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Chris. So this program is primarily targeted at the healthcare workers themselves. So something that this program could do is help the caregivers learn how to send patients to free resources. Unfortunately, that issue is a very systemic issue, more related to like the government organization of their healthcare. As the healthcare in Uganda is primarily run by and through the government. And so it does not address that challenge. However, I would anticipate that it should give the healthcare workers a lot of different avenues and options to pursue either with patients who can't pay and or to send them to areas that they could receive help through other NGOs who are providing care to low or no paying patients.
Okay, good. Well, it sounds like a great program. I see. So you're asking you're saying that right now you're about $5,000 short of goal, and that needs to be committed by, if I understand it right, July 15th. So we've got about a month or so to get this, make this commitment. Can you give us a direct, if someone would like to make a donation, what the best way to actually do that would be?
So at this time, we're not accepting cash donations. At this time, what we are accepting is a pledged donation. So if you would like to make a donation right now, what you can do is send an email to myself with a signature saying, I would like to donate this amount. And then pending approval of the project, I will add that into our spreadsheet of contributions. And then I will reach back out to you at approval of the grant for you to be able to make that donation via check. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the technology of Rotary can catch up to this, but I'm hoping also you'd be able to do that with your credit card online.
Yes, I think we're working on trying to get the technology to figure out how to do this as well. But for now, then sending an email to you, and your email address is, maybe you want to just.
I will send my email address in the chat. And while I'm doing that, I also want to mention, I don't think that I said this number, but it's estimated that this program could impact 1 to 2 million patient interactions over the next 2 years. So once the education starts, if you think of 900 or 1,000 healthcare workers having more education and being able to more confidently interact with their patients and send them better resources, you can imagine that if they are working full-time professionals, we're talking about a lot of patient interactions that could positively benefit from this. Thank you, Bob, for sending that in the chat.
Yeah, really a significant impact if everything goes as intended. So. Do you have a timeline on when the district or when this is district grant, I guess, or world community grant, I guess it is.
So yep, this is a global grant committed or submitted to Rotary International. We anticipate to submit as early as possible in July. Submissions reopen after Rotary International reconfigures their website on July 19th. I think I just saw that email today. And so we would anticipate to submit July 19th with full funding. And we would hear back by 4 weeks, I think, after that with approval from Rotary International. And we would begin the project immediately following approval. I know it'll take some time to gather funds, but all of the players, both in Uganda and outside of the US, are so excited to get started that as soon as we have a green light, we will be running on the ground.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, very good. Thank you for the great presentation, and good luck. If you hopefully, as you see, there are so many Rotarians in different districts and other areas that have pledged some money here. So it would be appropriate for our club to, who is taking the lead on this through Lauren and Ashok and all of the people you mentioned, to also step up to the plate. So do what you can, and thank you, Lauren, for that. I see on the agenda here that Julie is back. So we're going to shift gears here. Julie, you want to unmute yourself?
I do. It's noisy in my background, so I apologize for that.
Right.
People will be clearing out soon. I'm in between meetings, so good to see everyone. And I'm here just to give you an update about where we have been in the visioning and the strategic planning process. So Chris, if you can give me sharing rights on my screen, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think, well, Colin, are you still on? He may have gone off. You're gonna have to help me here. Do I click on you first before I share screen?
Yes, I believe if you click on me, and then you can make me a co-host. Nope.
It didn't work. Let me share.
Go ahead and stop sharing your screen. And then if you click on the participants list.
Just a minute. Let me go back to the beginning here. Okay, take me through this again.
Sure. If you click on the participants list at the bottom, you should have a pop-up that comes up. You should see my name kind of toward the top because I'm talking.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
Yep. And then if you make me co-host.
I don't see any place for, I don't see a place on your name to make you co-host.
If you click on more.
Okay. Allow to record, allow multi-pin, allow in waiting room, report. I don't see anything that says make co-host.
That's fine. I'll talk through it verbally, and then I'll put the link to the video, or I mean, not video, but to the PowerPoint in the chat here.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay. You can stop sharing your screen. That's fine, Chris. It's okay. All right. So sorry for the technical difficulties, but I just wanted to do a check-in on where we have been and where we are headed with our visioning to strategy process. So we started in April 29th. If you remember, you were invited to an input session. And at that input session, we had 34 participants who broke out into 6 different groups to give their input as to what direction Rotary of the Rochester Rotary Club should go. So then that information I carried forward into our visioning session. We did that visioning session with the district-wide team on May 24th and 26th. There was 11 participants in that visioning session. And then now where we are is in June. I'm taking all of that information and I'm crunching it together to create an actual strategic plan. That plan we hope will be implemented then starting in July. And it will be a transition. The first couple months will be rocky because there will be program evaluation, there'll be board restructuring to make sure that we really are focused in on our goals for the next 3 years. So in April 29th, like I said, we had 6 listening groups, 33 participants, and 3 big themes came out. The biggest thing that came out is that connections matter. Networks, fellowship, fun, being together, meeting new people, connections matter. The next theme that came out is that service is key. Having the ability to serve our community, whether that is at the local, the regional, or at the international level, service is really important to Rotarians, and having the opportunity to do that and have choice within that. And then the last thing is alignment of our efforts for impact. So making sure that we are making an impact and we are intentional about where our time and our treasure goes, and measuring those results and bringing that back both to the membership itself, but also the community at large. So after the April 29th, we went into the visioning session. We had 11 participants that scaled all of our membership. So we had our full membership represented. Quite a few of our board members were also in attendance. So they also had sent out a visioning survey with that. And we did get 34 responses across the membership on that survey, which is a 32% response rate. And the one piece that was incredibly important for me to pull out was the question of, is our club healthy? 47.1% of our membership was undecided with that question. With questions like, what does healthy mean? Well, are we healthy now? Is that about membership size? Is that about membership engagement? There was just a lot of questions about it, which explains why 47% of people were like, we're undecided. 32% did agree that we are a healthy club, and 20.6% indicated that we are not a healthy club. So when you look at that, we have 67% of our membership saying, you know what, we're not sure about our health, or no, we're not healthy. And so that indicates that we do need to have a strong strategic plan going forward. The themes that came out of that survey were very similar to those in the input session. Membership matters. So how are we creating an engaging and active membership? Clear impact matters. How are we collecting our story and telling our story? And communications matter. How are we communicating with both our community and also with our membership? From there, we also went into the visioning session. It was 2 days. There were, like I said, there was 11 participants. And there are 4 priorities that Rotary International has right now. And those are adaptability. How are we being adaptive? How are we enhancing participant engagement? How are we increasing our impact? And how are we expanding reach? And so again, within those buckets, we identified some of the exact same things that came out in the input session. How are we a flexible club that in which the community knows who we are and what difference we make? How do we hone in and make a concerted effort of impact, especially because we are a city of health, in both health and education, as Rotary was incredibly essential in starting the Cradle to Career initiative. So alignment is key. So making sure that we are in alignment with everything that we do, whether it's planting trees and saving the environment, to sponsoring programs like Lauren just spoke about, or getting together and packing food at Channel 1. All of these things are great efforts. We just want to make sure that we're collecting that data. We know how much time we're putting in, and most importantly, what is the impact of that? How can we tell our story better so people understand that Rotary is not about service and name, but we're service and action. So when we think about alignment, the Rotary International, their purpose statement is, together we will see a world where people unite, take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. Our Rotary core values, we call them the fields because we're out in the field, and that's around fellowship, integrity, extraordinary, leadership, diversity, and service. and making sure that every decision that we make on the strategic plan is in alignment with our values and with our statements. And so the visioning session produced a local purpose statement, and this is that statement in draft form. The Rotary Club of Rochester is known for building and supporting leadership and personal growth for all members, supporting the elimination of all opportunity gaps in education, innovating medicine with partner clubs across the world, and being welcoming, having fun, and building strong relationships. So when we think about the filter in which we make decisions, really we have the strongest filter with the 4-way test, with Ashok adding a number 5, which is the question, is it fun? Is there fun involved? Because we do understand on the backside of the pandemic that connection and fun matter. Serving our community matters, and we need to do that in a way that is flexible and attractive for all current and future members of our Rotary Club. So what are our next steps? Our next steps are that we will have a strategic plan draft based on the input that I've already covered. Tactics and governance structure will be worked on by the board. It will be board led and board constructed. And then the first couple months really will be transitionary months as we're trying to put this into play. The good news is that we have 3 of our presidents, the next 3 presidents involved in this process. So Audrey, Ali, and Ashok have all been involved in this. And that means that's really strong for connectivity of a strategic plan. So we're not doing this with one vision, we're doing this with 3 collective visions that will then be committed to it and measuring it as we continue. And we do promise to bring back monthly progress reports on our efforts within the strategic plan. Again, I think that communication is incredibly important for us internally as well as externally. How will we communicate this and our efforts to the community? It's much better to see the PowerPoint than me. It's got red in it, but that's what I have for you. If you have any questions, I'll drop my email into the chat. And if you have questions right now, I am happy to take those as well.
Thank you, Julie. So questions about this? Again, I apologize for not being able to do a graphic. I think Colin was the host. I'm not a host, so I probably could not co-host you. That's probably the problem there. So sorry about that. Any questions on on what we've done or on the process that we've gone through here? It might be worthwhile to, because we don't have the graphics, that maybe you want to put some of that on our Facebook page or on our website so we can take a look. People can take a look at that.
Yeah, I'll actually put the link here in the chat as well. It's an open link to a Google Doc.
Yeah, okay. Very good. So thank you to Julie and to this committee that's been working on this. It's been actually kind of a participation group, a large number of people, including volunteers from the district who have helped pull together some of the kind of running the program so that it could be done by an arm's length group that could just ask the hard questions, which is always useful in a situation like this. So I think we're getting there. There's certainly more work to be done, but I think as this becomes more defined and as we start to roll it out, perhaps into this next Rotary year, you'll really start to see some focus on what we're trying to do as we move forward, and hopefully it will pay dividends for our membership recruitment, as well as just feeling like you're getting some value out of this Rotary effort. So thanks again, Julie. I pick up on that. We're kind of at the end of our time here, but speaking of membership and ongoing commitment and so on, I want to put in a plug for you all received earlier this month a dues statement that Janice Domke puts together, and on behalf of the club, and it's all out there. And if you have had a chance to sign up for the future year, I appreciate that. And if you haven't, please pay attention to it. because it's very important that we have accurate numbers by the 1st of July, before the 1st of July, because we have to report the number of people that are members of the club by that point, and we have to pay Rotary International for the numbers that we are committed to. So if there's any question about or delay here, please consider getting this signed up, and certainly if it works best for you, either a check directly to the Rotary Club, to our post office box, which is the post PO Box 7566, Rochester 55903, or go online and do it through your bank, automatic deposit through your bank, which is preferable because it's a little easier and it can be done monthly. That would be appreciated. So anything else that anyone has that would like to bring up before we move on? I see Janice had put in the chat a reminder that we're also asking people to sign up for the script cards from Quick Trip and Menards and I believe Apollo Liquor. So if you have a chance to do that, there's the club receives a little bit of income off of that effort as well. So I appreciate your following up on that if you're interested. Lee, you've got your hand up. You got anything to add? Oh, you're muted.
No, I was just resting my my chin here, but I just came up with this, that we've had the last two presidents with the letter C, and we're getting 3 new presidents with letter A. And it was more of my college career. I had 2 C's and I never had 3 A's. So this will be well here.
Interesting point. All right. Well, I want to, as we get to the end of the meeting, I want to close and give thanks to everybody who joined in. Certainly to Lauren Anderson and Julie Brock for their presentations. And continued, as Audrey said, a great thanks to everybody on the board and others that are working behind the scenes to restart and realign our club for the future, and watch for more information as we roll this out in the Moccasin Flower. So good day, everybody. Have a good weekend coming up, and we'll hopefully see you in a couple of weeks at the June 24th midday meeting. Thank you all. Take care.